Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain my look at this month in Dragalia Lost for the month of April 2022. This is the final installment of this month in Dragalia Lost, a news post where the game's director, Okada, talks to us about what's to come for the month ahead and the future of the game as a whole. Of course, in case you're not aware, we recently got some news about the future of Dragalia Lost in that our final major content update will release in July, and the current Summon Showcase is the last Summon Showcase in the game, which will feature new adventurers. So we are at the end of service. I know if you've missed the news, this may seem like an April's Fool's joke, but it's not. We are at the end of service with Dragalia Lost. And despite that, I think there's real reason for optimism and excitement with the This Month post this time around. There's some confirmation of some really exciting things that will be happening between now and July as the game comes to its conclusion and climax in the story. So let's go ahead and get into what's coming up. We really get a proper roadmap this time around, so I'm really happy to see that at the very least. And, oh yeah, by the way, you may have noticed somebody walking on my home screen here, as I did manage to summon Bondforged Banner with one of the free daily tenfolds. So super hyped about that, have really enjoyed trying them out in Kaleidoscape so far, and expect my review on that showcase. Have to do the review even though it's the final banner, just for principle's sake. Expect that around Sunday or Monday of this week. Alright, here we are in this month in Dragalia Lost. I guess I should remind y'all, with it being the first of a new month, to go check out your treasure trades. If there's anything you want to get from Void Battle Treasure Trade, Astral Raids, the Alberian Battle Royale, Kaleidoscape, all of that has reset, so you can get those monthly goodies for one of the last times, now and in the next few months. Here we go with this month though. As always, Director Okada thanks us for playing Dragalia Lost, and here's what's happening in the game. So as usual, we have a few recaps of current events. So one that's happening right now is the advent of the Origin raid event, where we get a fantastic free welfare adventure in the form of Orga, and we fight off against True Bahamut as the raid boss. Hopefully you've had a chance to check that out already. I'm also going to do a separate video on that probably mid to early this coming week, maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday. Once all the content for it is released, definitely going to check out the Omega raid for that and make a video, and also give my thoughts on the story. But this time around, they say that this raid event was held to celebrate the 3.5 year anniversary, and there are some connections to the events of Chapter 25 of the main campaign as well. You can recruit the adventurer Orga to your roster if you complete enough event quests to forge a lasting friendship with her, and along the way you will lock horns with Bahamut's unique form in a raid battle. This fight was designed to pack plenty of punch, so give it your all and don't back down. Now I will say I haven't noticed it packing plenty of punch just yet, because with the currently available difficulties and the quick lobby matching, the fight is over very quickly before I can actually see many of the mechanics that are happening in the battle. But I have played a lot of the event because I wanted to go ahead and get the rewards from it before I started summoning for Nedrick, and so I have played several raid battles, I've played lots of boss battles, basically collected all the rewards from endeavors and gotten my Orga up to 50 nodes, so she's already fully added to my roster and fully built, and she's a strong adventurer. I think that she's been used in some auto battle clears of Expert Primal Brunilda, our recent content that came out on the day of the 3.5 year anniversary. And if you enjoyed Primal Brunhilde, well, there's some good news coming up here. So let's continue reading on. Next up, we have the adventurers Bondforged Prince and Bondforged Zethia, who make their debut in the aforementioned raid event, are featured in a Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase available now. So luckily I was able to already get Prince or Yuden off of this. I'm hoping I can get Zethia next, so if I don't get her on the free daily tenfolds, then that will be our last hurrah summoning session in all likelihood. I do hope that they continue to have high value summon showcases for those of us who do have some resources left over. Even if they wanted to get more generous, they could go with like Platinum Deluxe style showcases where you're always guaranteed to get new units. That would be an awesome way to round out the collections of those of us who are missing a few key adventurers. or maybe even some types of free Dream Summon showcases, or paid for those of you who do have Diamantium left in your accounts. I think that would be really nice too, just because there's a small handful at this point of adventurers and dragons I'm still missing, and I kind of want to try them all before the game ends, but that's not really seeming realistic unless over the next few months the devs get super generous with some of the summon showcases, knowing that they're on the way out at that point. So for me, the dragons I'm missing are Gala Elysium and Tieshan Gongju. And then I'm also missing 13, 14 adventurers. So I doubt I'm ever going to get them all. But by the time the game ends, maybe I'll get those last 2 dragons and call it a day. Of course, we also get mention here of Gala Nedrick. And Gala Nedrick was available on the previous Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase at an appearance rate up. Notably, 2 different showcases, they both have Gala Dragons and Adventurers sparkable on them, available via worm sigils if you summon enough, but there are some differences in who's available. So Nedrick Showcase is already over, but I noticed, for example, that one actually did have Elysium on it to be sparked, whereas I think this new one has like Chronos Nyx and has a different set of dragons, different set of adventurers. I know Gala Emil was on there. That's the one Gala Adventure I'm missing, so I may try Spark for him depending on how things go. But so far, I've gotten Bondforged Yuden, I've gotten Nedrick. I also got to try out Nedrick in Kaleidoscape, and that Soul Charge mechanic is just insane. He can't really get defeated at all by minor enemies, and it included mini bosses when I was playing through. It might be because of some of the Kaleidoscape bonuses I've unlocked, but mini bosses couldn't even hurt him. It was really just the Agito and High Dragon bosses where I actually had to pay attention to what was happening on screen because I could get hit, or in rare cases, if I would get bogged or something, then I might be able to take higher damage, but he was a real beast in that mode, and so was Yuden for that matter, with the dragon transformations that he has built into his kit. He is super cool to play as. Definitely love that they went out with these 2 showcases. I think it's a fitting collection of adventurers to celebrate what Dragalia Lost has been. So we'll see if I end up having to summon Go All Out for Zethia, but what an appropriate way to end things out if we're going for Zethia. And you can just imagine the whole original plot of Dragalia Lost of us trying to get back Zethia. That would feel very fitting. Alright, so then we get into plans for this month, and because this month of March, or the previous month of March, now that we're in April, was the final bit of new content for Dragalia Lost outside of the story and certain quests, well, because of that, all of the events that we're having going forward, all of the special events, are going to be reruns over the next several months. So in April, we're going to have, on the 15th, Sands of Revelation. There are still a few defensive and onslaught events that haven't been rerun yet and aren't in the compendium. So I think by the time the game's at the end of life, hopefully all of them have been rerun at least once and or added to the compendium. I think all the facility events are in the compendium now, but it looks like they're going to continue to use these in the middle of the month. Then we're getting 2 raid events in a row. So on April 22nd, Resplendent Refrain, that'll last for a week. That's going to be a chance to get Elias and Meridimus. Personally, I find it to have one of the best stories and music of any of the raid events in the game. It's one of the first events that I felt a really strong emotional connection with. I liked the earlier events in Dragalia Lost, but some of them were on the sillier side. I think Celiero's training was a little bit excessive and silly. The whole "we mustn't let Fragonoth be revived" was kind of a meme for that first raid event that we had in Dragalia Lost. And then the Kindness in Captivity event was very wholesome. I think that was our second raid, but really focused on the relationship between Melsa and Cerise. And I think that, I guess it was Harl who was present in that event as a villain. Maybe it was Emil. It's been so long. But I know the boss was Hypnos. And then Resplendent Refrain was just this whole different soundtrack and whole different vibe, and about this coming-of-age story. And I think it's a testament to Dragalia Lost's ability to tell very different and emotionally impactful stories with every event. So I had never considered the struggles of a young singer or vocalist as they come of age with their voice changing, and that's kind of the central thing that happens in the event. So I won't go into more detail, but it's a good one. It's a chance to pick up Elias too, who hasn't been available for quite some time. And then we have Echoes of Antiquity, which I love to see this come back. These Dasheng Mini that are here are so cute. I love these little guys. And Xuan Song, the free adventure from this event, another fan favorite adventure. Going to be great to have people add her to their collection for free if you don't have her all to the Radiant Xuan Song that's in the light element. I think that that's also a nice event to see come back, and maybe we'll get Wukong's event come back one more time too after the month of April. I hope that with these raid events we go through, and basically the next few months until July, it's like an opportunity for those of us who are still really invested in playing Dragalia Lost all the way to the end, cycle through all the past raid adventures, make them available so that players have a chance to check them out one last time if they missed out on them in a previous opportunity. That would be my personal hope for how they approach this, is like, if we're going to get, possibly 4 or 5 events every month, why not bring back the raids and bring back the characters so people get access to them? Because if you look at this, April's kind of unique because we have this major event happening until the 15th. But afterward, in subsequent months, when we think about what's going to happen in May, they're going to want to have, and I guess they'll have Echoes of Antiquity, but it'll probably run until, May 7th or something. Not all the way until May 15th, if I had to guess, which would let them fit in another event between May 7th and May 15th, meaning we could potentially get 3 raids per month, or maybe they'll recycle the invasion events too. But it's kind of a throwback or compilation of hopefully some of the best events in the game. It'd be sweet, for example, if one month it's they go through all of the New Year's events one by one, and you have all the showcases come back, or perhaps have a unified showcase. That'd be kind of a cool way of bringing back connected events so that people can enjoy them in sequence too. All right, now here's probably the best news of this month in Dragalia Lost, and that is Primal Zodiark's trial, y'all. Primal Zodiark's trial will be added to the Primal Dragon trials on April 25th. So yes, when the end of service was announced, there was mention of certain other quests besides the main campaign, which would continue to be released through July, and it turns out that those quests include the endgame quest that we were hoping we would get to play and enjoy, the Primal Dragon trials, plus the one Legend difficulty Sinister Dominion battle that's still missing, and that is of course Surtur's trial. Also, something exciting is that they switched up the order. Primal Zodiark happening now, when in the original release of High Dragon Trial, Zodiark was the last trial available. I think that's cool too, just because it's going to, whichever one of these is released first is going to give us more time to enjoy. And I think that gives some equity to our light adventures. If you want to try out your new Bondforged Zethia, this is going to be a fantastic opportunity to do so. And in using those light adventures, we also get powerful shadow weapons, which shadow is already one of the strongest elements in the game, but it's going to be super fun to power up our shadow adventurers using these new weapons from Primal Zodiark. Especially in Curse of Nihility settings, that is really going to unleash what they're capable of. And Surtur, you do use shadow adventures against, so Surtur, by the time it releases, we're going to have all these new weapons farmed up, and that'll be a real difficult final battle. So I'm happy about this. I also, just like Zodiark's design, I like him as a character. All these Primal Dragon trials are very fun so far. Brunhilde's trial has been a treat, and I think even though there's a Curse of Nihility elements, they're just more fun to me than the Sinister Dominion ones were. And I don't really know why that is. I don't know, from a game design standpoint, what it is about them. I think the varied arenas and just the themings of the fights, they just feel more fun to me. So I'm really happy we're going to get all of the Primal Dragon trials released. So also on the 25th, which, it's basically looking like we're going to get these once a month big updates at this point, we are going to get the first half of Chapter 25 of the main campaign. And then we're getting a Kaleidoscape update, which is going to increase the highest floor to level 60 and the maximum adventure level to 100. Additional rewards and memories of the Sacred Tree will also be added, so I hope you're looking forward to braving the Kaleidoscape's depths once again. Now, my hope is I don't want to see the demons from Sinister Dominion, personally. Just throw the Primal Dragons in, and that would be very, very hype, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is Creeping Corrosion is just kind of a pain to deal with, and I could see that being kind of frustrating in Kaleidoscape. And yeah, maybe they could do some of the earlier difficulties of the demons, but I would be most hyped if it's the Primal Dragons. I just think there's no question about that in my mind. Of course, with this release coming on the 25th, is that very realistic? Maybe not, because there's only 3 of them at that point, but when we got the Agito bosses that we currently have, they didn't include Tartarus as one of the bosses for whatever reason. You can never roll Tartarus, only Kayan, Ciela, Ayahan de Toha, or Volk. So who knows? They could very well choose to use the Primal Dragons. But even if they use the demons, I think if they're appropriately balanced, it'll still be fun to have an extra challenge to Kaleidoscape. Maybe they'll also make it so that the expeditions will now give you some of the larger purple material. I can't remember what kind of amber it is, but the one that you need more of for the treasure trade, because the smaller one you can have a huge stockpile of just from doing expeditions. I don't know if I'm actually going to go back and rebeat the Kaleidoscape with adventures I've already cleared it with, because I personally want to continue to clear it with new adventures, but I'm definitely going to use this as an opportunity for a resurgence into things. So far, I've been clearing with about 10 adventures per month, but in March, once I saw the news about End of Service, I didn't grind out all the rewards or anything like the extra Champion's Testaments, Damascus Ingots. I just got the Omnisite, the Sunlight Stones, and that was it. And that's kind of one of the drawbacks of knowing the end is nigh, is some of these things that we were excited to do, we're less excited to do, but on the other hand, you don't need to feel compelled to do anything just for the sake of keeping up with the game. Everything you do at this point should just be wholly motivated by, am I going to have fun doing this? And so for me, when I went in with Nedrick, when I went in with Yuden, Bondforged Yuden, that was actually just having fun. I didn't necessarily need to get a reward that was going to be meaningless at some point down the road. So that ultimately is true of any game, by the way, because all games are going to have a finite amount of time that you enjoy them, realistically speaking. But it's especially true when you can see the end. So I'm going to make the most of it. I think Kaleidoscape's going to be fun. Maybe I'll put out some videos at that time checking out Floor 60. I'm also planning on putting out some videos. I haven't finished it yet, but Mercurial Gauntlet effectively also wrapped up. And it's funny to think that was like our original, maybe, what we thought might have been Kaleidoscape. Because like Kaleido was known about since early in the game. And when Mercurial Gauntlet came out, we were like, is this what they meant by, Kaleidoscape? Is this all it is? It's just the same floor every time? And it's still actually kind of fun to try do those harder difficulties of Mercurial Gauntlet, in my opinion, and see what team compositions work and how you can shave off time. Like, there is still some enjoyment to be had there. So I'm going to try compile all my level 80 clears. I haven't done the new ones that came out mid-March, but I did the ones before that, so I think I've done 2 or 3 and have 2 remaining. So I'll do that too at some point between now and July and just show y'all what I used, and then probably do a handful of level 60 Kaleidoscape clears, and then I guess I'm going to move on from that mode. By the way, there's so many different like completion elements to Dragalia Lost. Like, you can grind out all the void weapon skins, you can grind out all the medals in Knott's Notes, and I have not been a medal grinder up until now, but there is part of me that is questioning, with the game gonna end not too long from now, like, do I actually want to go in and grind out all those medals? And I'm probably not gonna do it. I think it's just too much for me, but I know there are some fans out there and some viewers, I've seen y'all's posts that y'all have actually gotten all the medals for the characters in your roster, which is supremely impressive. Okay, so here we get to future updates, and I talked about this already when we looked at Primal Zodiark, but here's the mention that regarding the future of Dragalia Lost, we inform players that the game will not receive any new content updates aside from those for the main campaign and certain quests after the Summon Showcase on March 31st. Going forward, one part of a main campaign chapter and one high difficulty quest will be added from each month from April through July. So in late May, we're going to get part 2 of chapter 25 and Primal Mercury's trial as our next Primal Dragon trial. In late June, part 1 of chapter 26 will be added along with Primal Jupiter's trial in the Primal Dragon trials. And then finally, in late July, part 2 of chapter 26 will be added, which is going to be the conclusion of the main campaign, along with the legend difficulty for Surtur's Devouring Flame in Rise of the Sinister Dominion. And I think the ordering is great here because they could have given us Surtur in April, and I thought that that was what was going to happen just because it seemed like it was more likely to be done and available. But these Legend Sinister Dominion fights, you don't really need to farm or grind them to get to enjoy the rewards of them. They're really, at this point especially, things that you can be one and done if you want to. If you play a little more, you can get some summon vouchers and some other rewards, but the meaning of those other rewards is quickly going to diminish as we come to the final days. So the fact that this is last and is more just more for the challenge sake of being able to do it at the end, I think is appropriate, given that it actually takes a lot more runs on these Primal Dragon trials to farm up the materials for the weapons. And even then, I think it's actually more enjoyable to play them too, so it's actually fun to do those runs and grind and playing co-op in them, so I'm glad about the order. Mercury coming next, and then Jupiter after that. We're going to have Primal Dragon weapons ready for them, so they'll probably be balanced accordingly, which will be fun, and then same with Surtur at the very end. And last up here, Dragalia Lost main campaign will draw to a close with part 2 of chapter 26. We are hard at work preparing an epic conclusion with suitably epic presentation to match. And we hope that you will enjoy the story, cutscenes, maps, bosses, background music, and more as you see this long journey through to its very end. So I appreciate them mentioning every single thing explicitly, because anytime I do my story reaction videos where I share some gameplay and talk about what happened in the story chapter, these are, incidentally, a lot of the things I talk about, and to this day are like the small nitpicks that I've had with some of the story content and even event content. Like, for example, when it comes to bosses, in Advent of the Origin, why are we fighting a flame troll as the regular boss? It just doesn't make sense with the scale of what we're doing. So, just little things like that. Like, I love a good boss battle in the story if it fits what's happening, even if it's not the most difficult. So if we're fighting a Void Elysium, that's hype for me, even if it's not that hard of a fight with how the story is scaled. Maps are similar. I always have brought this up, but like the map diversity in certain chapters makes them so much more enjoyable from a visual presentation standpoint. One of my wishes for Dragalia Lost at one point was for boss battles to actually be able to like set the map that you fight them on, just so you have some variety, like fighting Ciela on a beach. I think the water actually looks really good in Dragalia Lost, the beach maps that we have. So some of those, it'd be sweet to fight a boss in a different environment. And cutscenes, we haven't really had a lot of those in Dragalia Lost. We had some fully 3D cutscenes toward the beginning of the game. And since then, what we tend to get are more like story art sequences. But usually those are still pretty fun and pretty impactful. So hopefully there's several of them if that's what they mean. Background music. Y'all know background music has been a real treat throughout Dragalia Lost's lifespan. Every big event has had a new banger of a track. Hopefully there will be some final compilation of Dragalia's music. I don't know if there are any plans for that, maybe if the game is still here on the 4th anniversary, there could be some type of release that, yes, even though the game is shutting down, there's a final send-off from Cygames to do that. But even over the past year, there's been additional tracks added, I think, over and beyond what was available in the previous CD release. So that would be really nice to see. And of course, the story itself. And I do kind of subscribe to some of the theories I've seen, some of the posts, that maybe the ending here has been rushed a bit, and perhaps the hand of the development team was forced to close things sooner than expected. It feels like maybe there was a longer term roadmap that ended up being condensed, because it is very rapidly that we see the curtain close right now on our main story. It just feels like a lot is happening quickly that in the past would have been spread out over more chapters. So I wonder if maybe the game was going to originally plan through the 4th anniversary or something like that. But despite all of that, I am happy that we get finality and we get some kind of proper conclusion. So I'm looking forward to the story too. All that said, I think the next several months are going to be very enjoyable, and I'm planning on making the most of my time in Dragalia Lost. And then we find out our gift for the month from Director Okada and the development team is a Sunlight Stone and an Adamantite Ingot, a great gift for the final installment of this month in Dragalia Lost. So any future information regarding the operation of the game will be posted separately. And as always, thanks for reading and for continuing to play Dragalia Lost. That is going to do it for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this last look at this month in Dragalia Lost. Not only did we find out what's coming in April, we now have a full picture of what to expect between now and the final new content release for the game at the end of July. Hope you're planning on making the most of it as I am. Let me know how things are going for you in the comments below. That is going to do it for today though, everyone. So thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.